Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into The Pursuit of Happyness. You know, that incredibly moving film from 2006. Our source isn't just watching the movie again. We're using a really detailed review. The plan is to basically pull apart its core arguments, find those key insights, and give you a sharper take on why it still resonates, more than just like a plot summary.
Exactly. And that's crucial because as this review lays out so well, the film, which is based on Chris Gardner's actual life, his memoir, it becomes this powerful lens. It's not just a feel-good story. It's really looking at perseverance, fatherhood, finding hope when things seem absolutely impossible. It's a real testament to the human spirit, but the review looks at it with a critical eye, too.
Right. So before we get into those deeper layers from the review, maybe just a quick refresher for everyone. The Pursuit of Happyness, it's a biographical drama, came out in '06, runs just under 2 hours, and it drops us right into Chris Gardner's life in 1980s San Francisco.
Absolutely. And the review really hammers home how impactful the film's core message is. It's emotionally intense. You follow Chris, this salesman who's really struggling. He ends up facing homelessness, serious poverty, major personal setbacks, all while he's trying to raise his young son, Christopher. And he's chasing this, frankly, audacious dream of becoming a stockbroker. What's interesting is how the review argues it's not just about making it in the traditional sense. It's about keeping your integrity, protecting your child's innocence, even when life is just throwing everything at you.
Yeah, and as we went through the review, certain themes really jumped out. The big one, right at the heart of it, is resilience and determination. The review points out that the film doesn't just show struggle, it makes you feel the weight of poverty day in, day out, that constant exhaustion, the physical and emotional toll, which, a lot of inspirational stories kind of gloss over. It's not just that he refuses to give up. It's the sheer grinding effort, selling those bone density scanners nobody really wanted.
Right.
Competing in that unpaid internship against people with way more advantages. It really shows endurance.
And woven right into that, almost balancing it out, is the father-son bond. The review makes a great point about the real-life chemistry between Will and Jaden Smith. It just lifts the whole thing. It's not just plot, it's the emotional anchor. You absolutely believe their love thrives even in that chaos. It's why he keeps going.
And then stepping back, the film tackles bigger societal stuff too, doesn't it? Even the title, The Pursuit of Happyness with the Y. That's obviously a nod to the Declaration of Independence. The review suggests this isn't just clever. It's kind of subtly asking, how easy is it to pursue happiness in a system that's, unequal?
Which leads straight into how the film touches on poverty and social injustice. The review really emphasizes this. Chris's homelessness isn't shown as his fault, like laziness or addiction or something. It's circumstances piling up. It kind of pushes you, the viewer, to think about how society, how systems can let people down. It nudges us to look beyond just individual choices at the bigger picture. It's pretty nuanced, actually.
Yeah, it avoids easy answers. And just to give a sense of how steep that climb was for Chris, the review details that first big risk he took, investing his entire life savings in those portable bone density scanners. The reality, like the film shows, was they were maybe a tiny bit better, but way more expensive than X-rays, so super hard to sell.
Yeah, almost doomed from the start, financially speaking.
Sounds like it.
And the review stresses how that one decision just spirals. His marriage crumbles. Linda, his wife, played by Thandie Newton, she just can't take the pressure anymore, and she leaves. Understandably, really.
Okay.
So suddenly, Chris is a single dad, he gets evicted, and then they're in shelters, sleeping in public bathrooms, wherever they can find refuge. It really shows the grim reality, the lack of dignity and homelessness.
But even with all that, the review really highlights Chris's sheer grit. He manages to land a spot in this super competitive, unpaid internship at Dean Witter, a big brokerage firm. Just the willpower to even go for that, knowing he had no safety net. It's kind of amazing.
It really is. And the review calls this the absolute peak of his journey, maybe one of the most powerful scenes in recent movies. It's when Chris finally gets the job, the one paid position offered out of all those interns. He gets it through just relentless hard work, being smart, and sheer persistence. That moment.
Oh, yeah, unforgettable.
Yeah, that silent victory.
So let's talk performances, because the review spends a good chunk of time on this. Will Smith as Chris Gardner.
Yep.
Many say it's his best work, right? The review notes he completely drops that usual, charismatic hero thing. Instead, it's this very grounded, raw performance of a man just pushed to his absolute limit. The vulnerability, the strength, it feels so honest. Got him an Oscar nomination. What did the review say made it so defined?
Well, the review argues It was his commitment to showing the quiet desperation. He wasn't playing some action hero. He was playing a survivor. And you could see the discomfort, the fatigue. It wasn't glamorous. That, the review says, is what connected with people. And then Jaden Smith, only 8 years old. As Christopher Jr., he's incredibly natural. He's not just there to be cute. He carries real emotional weight in those scenes with his dad. Makes their bond totally believable.
He really does.
And Thendiwe Newton as Linda, though it's a smaller role, the review gives her credit for portraying that frustration, that emotional distance. He shows how poverty can just break relationships apart. Feels very real, very honest.
Okay, so beyond the acting, which is obviously huge, I was interested in what the review said about the filmmaking itself. Like the director, Gabriele Muccino. What choices did he make that, according to the review, really made this more than just a standard biopic?
Yeah, the review really focuses on Muccino's pacing. It's deliberately slow, almost methodical at times. The argument is, this isn't just to drag things out, it's to make the audience feel the grind, the day-to-day struggle Chris endured. So every little win feels massive, earned.
Makes sense.
And the review also mentions Muccino's use of a handheld camera sometimes, especially in those really desperate moments. It gives it this raw, almost documentary feel. Put you right there with Chris.
What about the look of the film? Cinematography, the music, any insights there from the review?
Oh yeah, the cinematography gets praised for capturing both sides, the coldness of the city, the streets, but also the warmth in those moments between father and son. Using real San Francisco spots adds that layer of authenticity too. It feels grounded. And the score by Andrea Guerra, it's actually pretty minimal. It avoids, big manipulative musical cues. Instead, the review notes these subtle, kind of sad piano themes that just underscore Chris's isolation, but also his resilience, without drowning out the acting. It's quite restrained, letting the emotion come from the story itself.
Okay, let's hit some of those moments that just stick with you. The review flags a few, and I think everyone remembers these. That powerful scene, you gotta dream, you gotta protect it, when Chris tells his son that. Just classic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A defining moment. And then the scene where Chris is clapping after he gets the job, that silent tear, just relief and gratitude and total exhaustion all mixed together. The review calls it one of cinema's most powerful moments. And I think that's fair. It's so quiet, but says everything.
Totally. And for me, maybe the most haunting one is them sleeping in the subway bathroom. Just the vulnerability of him holding the door shut with his foot, trying to comfort his son. It just gut-wrenching to watch.
It really is. So if we pull all this together, what's the big takeaway from The Pursuit of Happyness, according to this review? It's more than just like simple lessons. The review argues it really shows how vital self-belief is, even when everything around you is telling you to quit. It makes the case that, happiness isn't just about money or status. It's deeply tied to our relationships, our love for others, and our own inner strength. And it highlights that struggles, yeah, they're painful, but they're often temporary. How you act during those struggles, that defines you, that builds the foundation for what comes next. And crucially, the review points out that every little chance, every small step, even ones that seem insignificant, they can build into something huge. It's about that cumulative effect.
So putting it all together, what does this mean for the film's place, its legacy? The review doesn't shy away from critiques, which is good for a deep dive. It mentions some viewers feel the film maybe romanticizes the whole capitalist American dream thing a bit too much, without digging deep enough into the systemic problems. How does the review handle that?
That's a really important point the review tackles. It acknowledges that, yeah, the film is deeply inspiring, but its laser focus on individual grit could overshadow the huge societal barriers many people face. It might accidentally imply, just work hard enough and you'll make it, which ignores the reality of systemic inequality for a lot of people.
The whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps idea.
Exactly. The review suggests that narrative, while powerful, might feel incomplete to critics looking for a more thorough examination of why people end up in Chris's situation in the first place, not just how one person got out.
And what about the sentimentality? Some might find it a bit much, maybe prefer something grittier, and the ending, while true, maybe feels a bit sudden after all that struggle. Does the review see the emotion as a plus or minus?
It leans toward it being a strength, actually. While acknowledging it is sentimental, the review argues that this emotional core is precisely why the film works so well for so many people. It doesn't ignore the harshness, but that thread of hope, that father-son love, that's what connects. It suggests this emotional hook lets the audience really invest in Chris's journey, so the final triumph feels genuinely earned and deeply moving, not just tacked on.
Right. Okay. So despite those nuances, those critiques, the review gives it a solid 9 out of 10. Calls it deeply moving, a reminder that success earned against the odds is the sweetest, and definitely sees it as a timeless classic, with Will Smith giving that career-defining performance.
Yep. And there's that fun little fact the review mentions the real Chris Gardner. He has a cameo. Right at the end, he walks past Will and Jaden Smith on the street. A nice little touch.
Oh, cool. I forgot about that. Okay, so we've done our deep dive into the pursuit of happiness, looking at its resilience, that father-son bond, and its place in film, all through the lens of this detailed review.
Which kind of leaves us with a question maybe for you listening. Given how the film portrays the American dream but also touches on inequality, how might understanding Chris Gardner's very specific individual story inspire you in your own challenges, while maybe still making you think about those bigger systemic issues?
Yeah, something to chew on. We definitely encourage you to reflect on that, maybe watch the film again with these points in mind, or even read more about the real Chris Gardner. It's quite a story.